Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 64 of the 40k Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd, and I am joined, as always, by my special boy, Crackpot McMar... Ugh. Let me try that again.
You botched it.
Let me try that again.
You botched it.
Let me try it again. Crackpot McLarryland. Crackpot, what's going on? You don't get that reference.
Electric Larryland, the Butthole Surfers album.
Oh shit, you do get that reference.
Yeah, I do. I actually do. That's a pretty good album.
Come on, it's got Pepper on it, which is like one of the best songs. Just one of the best songs.
It's the only song of theirs that anyone knows.
They had another single off that album.
Who Was in My Room Last Night? No, that's off
No.
Independent
The one about the dog's collar. Jingle collar or something like that.
Here's the thing. Whenever we fuck up a music reference, I very much expect somebody to come in there and be like, no, actually, that song was by Mountain or Nazareth or whatever.
Right.
This one I feel might be a little bit of a deeper cut into the whole of the matter.
Oh, man, Nazareth. Now you're messing with a son of a bitch.
Oh God! Did you like hearing my voice crack there? All right.
Yeah.
So,
well, joining us on the show this time are also Sick Dan and Sick Campbell, I believe.
Yeah, it's a twofer. January rules that we get like 4 hours of daylight per day. We're consistently ill, and it's cold and terrible all the time. I love it.
Yeah. So we are recording this on the 8th of January. It's a Wednesday, and over the weekend, I completely lost my voice.
Nice. It's very Adepticon of you.
Oh, dude, it was like Adepticon. Like I could only whisper.
I was like so sick this weekend that I drove an indeterminate amount of distance and time, and I don't remember any of it. Like that was a lot of the last 4 days of my life.
I had a fever on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
One of those things where I woke up in a pool of sweat in my bed because it was honestly too wet for me to stay there. It was
too
really
wet for
great.
me to stay.
It was
the 40k
really
Badcast. Cool.
I loved it.
Cool.
Yeah. So January, it's cool.
Yeah, it owns. Big fan of January.
Okay, let's move on to the Auspex. Let's actually start the show, huh?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, instead of complaining about the weather, we're the best podcast.
We're extremely topical.
We do it so well. Okay, hobby progress. I haven't done too much except paint the dreaded Ambull. I am almost done with it.
Nice. Did you go for the scheme on the box or like the old Rogue Trader scheme or something different?
Something different. I went very blue with this. I did a Stegodon Stale Green for the Carapace, which is actually turning into one of my favorite colors. It's really versatile and really fun to work with. And then I put Drakenhof Nightshade over that.
Mm-hmm.
And
lovely wash.
It has taken it from a greenish dark teal to a very much a dark blue, a midnight kind of blue with a little bit of green in there, and it is working really well. I'm highlighting it with some of the more greener light blues, and I think the brightest edge highlight I'm going to do is our favorite Berry Blue, Baharth Blue, and the flesh is this the Fang, and then Russ Gray I've been using a lot. So basically Space Wolf colors for the flesh. And then some orange in there for those weird spots on the carapace, which I think are the areas where it generates heat to melt through stuff.
Something like that.
Sure,
where it generates boar worms or whatever.
Yeah, with some red eyes, some pink tentacles and thing. And then I'm doing the claws. I'm going to do them black with blue highlights and then hit them with the hard coat after I varnish so they shine.
Okay.
And the boar worms are pretty much the same colors for that. I started off not liking this model at all for painting, but now that this is what happens with me. Now that I've hit it with the washes and started working on the highlights a little bit, it actually looks really good. So I've turned around and I'm liking it a lot.
I think that happens every time I do something for the first time in a new scheme.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, this looks like fucking garbage. I'm going to put this in the trash. Oh, it looks nice.
Yeah, so almost done with that, and that's good because I need to get to work on my Adepticon projects, which are, of course, the Aeronautica Imperialis Orc planes and the Baja Blasters, my pro elf team for Blood Bowl.
Nice.
So we're gonna get to work on those. I'm gonna finish this thing this week and get to work on the other stuff this weekend probably. So very excited for that. What have you been working on?
Well, listeners or anyone who's listened to the last episode will know I made a New Year's resolution to get all my Ultramarines done by Adepticon. So I've made a lot of progress in that by not touching any Ultramarines whatsoever.
Very good. Well, because something else happened.
So first off, I finished that bastard chariot.
Yep.
I know you said it has like a very Age of Sigmar problem where it's just like stuff sticking out everywhere, but it is actually a fantasy model from like 2013 or something like that.
I mean,
I just think the problem is it's extremely digitally sculpted and wasn't sculpted with gravity in mind. But the actual like thing, now that it's all together, I had used some green stuff to connect the fucking reins because if you built them at the wrong angle, they won't stick in there.
Yeah.
So I had to use a little bit of green stuff to gap fill for that sort of thing. But now that it's all done, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. I'm very happy that it came out. Of course, I don't have a case for it, so it's just on a shelf somewhere in a closet where my cat can't knock it over, hopefully.
There you go.
So I moved on from that to the Dark Oath War Queen, who that model is stellar. It is exactly what I want out of muscle bunch type models. It breaks my heart they haven't gone further into making new Chaos Marauders that match that aesthetic.
Right.
But between her and the Dark Oath Chieftain, who I think I might like a little better, I've got like two really good heroes for basically Marauder type characters in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, so I saw your picture of your war queen, and I honestly had thought that you'd painted that like a year ago.
I've used the exact same scheme I used on the Muscle Bunch.
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah, that must have been
Hunt. Yeah, who like again share a very similar aesthetic. If you put her, the Dark Oath Chieftain, and the Godsworn Hunt all together, you'd think they all came in the same set, which I think that just speaks to them having a very nice unified aesthetic that they for some reason didn't pursue into making new Marauder models.
A very clear vision.
It's great. The Slaves to Darkness army book, it's a great army book. I've read it cover to cover.
Dave's
has like all these
Darkness, please.
Oh, sorry. The Dave's to Darkness. Jesus. That whole army book is wonderful. But there's like all these pictures of like the gorgeous new Chaos Warriors. And then like way in the background, you have the old Chaos Warriors just kind of like shuffling along and a bunch of like really ham-handed cold Chaos Marauders who they really all do look like they're sculpted out of piles of ham stacked on top of each other. There's like Catachan heads in there and
delicious.
Like big round biceps. They're not great models. They've not aged very well, but the new stuff is fantastic. I built 10 of the Chaos Warriors from the Start Collecting set, which they took like 10 minutes each to put together. They went together beautifully. The sculpts are fantastic. I'm pretty stoked to paint them. And also, I mentioned that I have a painting sheet so I can keep track of how many things I paint during the year, and I managed to paint 30 models in one day.
No, I saw your picture of this. Yeah.
The Aeronautic Imperialis ground assets. I just took an afternoon and just booped all the way through them. It's just washes and dry brushes and thinned down like coats of scrag brown or whatever for rust and all that stuff. I just blitzed through them in a day, and you know what? I'm happy with them. It's hard to photograph them because the camera doesn't know what to focus on because there's a bajillion little things, but I think I did a good job of making them not look just like playing pieces for a board game, but actually like painted miniatures.
I want to be like, that doesn't count as 30 models. I want to, because, I just am jealous of the fact that you get way more done than I do, but I don't care.
Let's say it's not all about like, we're not counting against each other.
I mean, you're not.
This one-sided rivalry is going to the end.
Okay, so did you work on anything else?
No, that's everything. It sounds like a lot, but yeah, that's everything I've been working on.
All right, you playing any games?
I actually did. I played one big 3,000 point game against Dylan. It was great. It was like, we're just like, hey, he came over pretty early in the day.
We had large 40K.
It was a large 40K game, but it was still fun.
Right.
And that's the thing, because
it didn't have 24 people involved in it.
Right. And we budgeted a whole day for it. Like, he came over early in the morning. We, had some coffee, played through the first turn.
Where'd you get your coffee?
I make it at home, dude.
Oh, I thought he might have made a Dunkin' run before he showed up at your house.
He will not stomach that swill.
Of course not. Dylan only consumes the finer things in life.
The finest beans, hand roasted, hand picked, individual beans picked by hand. Roasted every morning.
He flies to Costa Rica and picks his own beans.
I'll take 3 of those, please. So yeah, he came over pretty early in the day, and we just rolled everything out, and Just a big 3,000 point game. I took pretty much every Ultramarine I have, save for a few characters. He took mostly mechanized orcs.
Ooh.
So he had like a big pile of speedwog stuff, so a few buggies, the biker boss, like a few bikers. Then had like a battle wagon full of ludas, had a few big mobs of boys, big mob of grots, and a stampa, and a Gorka Morka knot, whichever one of those it was.
One of those things.
Mm-hmm. But it was really cool how, like, I basically deployed everything in a corner, more or less, so he'd have to come to me and, like, some other elements around the table just kind of distract him a little bit, like snipers and stuff like that.
Did you use the time-honored Space Marine battle tactic, the battle pile?
It was kind of more like, it was more or less a battle pile, but it was more like a battle conga line because we were just moving along the very far edge of the board, just kind of sticking in close like that. I seized the initiative, and I'm really excited about this. And then I realized most of my shit was out of range.
Oh.
So what's the point?
Did you play on a 6x4 or an 8x4?
6x4. It's all I got really room for in my house.
Ooh.
But I still took advantage of that first turn by moving towards the speed wog and doing some damage, which meant like half of his army was out of position to fight mine.
Yeah.
Because you can't have your knobs out of position. You just can't. Now, he did have his...
Is that... Was that a dick joke?
It's a very deep cut,
was
okay?
Was that a dick joke?
I think it might have been a dick joke.
Well, let's get the appropriate... Excellent work.
Okay.
Excellent work.
Good
thanks. Job. Thank you. Thanks for
Appreciate it. That one's...
Great job. So good.
Fine. That one's for all the old Dork and Morka fans out there.
Such a good job.
All three of you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Great.
Also, thanks.
You're elevating the podcast.
I was expecting a slide whistle sound effect there. I'm actually disappointed. Oh, there it is. There's the appropriate instrument. Okay. Justifying this purchase more and more with every passing minute.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So he has a Stampa. And the cool thing about...
Wait, he had the Stampa too?
Yeah, Stampa and a Gorka Morkanot. Well, how else do you keep an orc army manageable in a 3,000 point game than by taking fucking Mega Maid there in the middle of the table?
Yeah, take 1,000 points of it and put it in one model that actually sucks.
Oh, it was doing a lot of damage, I'll be honest. It didn't run the table like it would have in 7th,
right?
But it was doing a lot of damage. But transhuman physiology, good save rolls, kind of iffy shooting rolls meant his Stampa took 2 turns to kill my Repulsor and a couple of Marines here and there.
Nice.
And then I had a genius move. I had about 500 points of things in reserves, like Reavers, Inceptors, Phobos Lieutenant, like whole thing.
Yeah.
And here's the cool thing about reserves. You can drop them in on turn 2, or you can forget you have 500 points of reserves and drop them in on turn 3.
Yep. Wait. You forgot them, but you put them in on turn 3.
Yeah, turn 3. So I didn't forget them the whole game. Just forgot them for a turn.
Yeah.
But of course, they could drop in after I had cleared a landing zone by him moving all the shit away towards my stuff.
Right.
By turn 2, I'd already taken out the speed wog. The Stampa, I think I took that out turn 3 with my Hellblasters, at which point it exploded and did a whole bunch of damage by exploding.
Oops.
His Gorkanaut gets to my home objective. I kill it. It also explodes. It kills my poor lieutenant who was holding the objective. And by turn 5, Dylan was down to just his Luda-filled battle wagon, and I had about maybe a third to half my army left, but he was up on points. So he jumped his weird boy onto my home objective because it was like a 4 objective game.
Yeah.
And he was still ahead on points then, but I rolled off, went for till turn 6, which sealed it as an Ultramarines victory.
Hey, so a Pyrrhic Ultramarines victory.
That's my favorite kind of victory because it's the one where I'm like, did I really win? I guess so. But it was a really fun game. It was like a chill hang. It was just like some beers, some hangs, some hams, everything we could really need out of a day of gaming.
Good. I've played games against opponents who have forgot to bring their stuff in after turn 3.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh shit, it's turn 4. I forgot to bring this in, and it's gone forever.
It happens. See, here's the extra secret. You should have as many of your deep strikers be garbage units like Reavers, so when they don't drop in,
so it doesn't matter
as much.
Yeah, it's
but they did drop in and were able to get a charge off onto his home objective and take it and all that stuff. So,
an excellent strategy there.
Yeah. So you playing games?
Yeah, I've played a game of Necromunda, which because we're a Necromunda podcast and. We just need to talk about Necromunda every episode. Well, I am running a campaign for it.
We're contractually obligated to, yes.
This was not a... So every campaign round, all of my players get one called challenge game, where it's the main game that round that they need to play. And you get stuff like double experience. You get to have income. You use intrigues. And so it's designed that there are a bunch of incentives to get your campaign game going. But if you want to play what we're calling skirmish games, in the meantime, like between your games, you're allowed to also, but the skirmish games aren't going to catapult people to high levels of awesomeness because there's no income, there's no intrigues, and there's just regular experience.
Okay.
So I got in a skirmish game against my friend Scott and his enforcers, where it was the trap scenario. They had set a trap for my golden Archies, but Campbell, it did not go well for the cops in this one.
Oh, nice.
The Archies broke out and caused a bunch of damage to the point where I had taken out his leader and 2 champions, and the first champion I rolled after I took him out, I rolled to see what happened to him, and I rolled a 6 to start, and that's really bad. That's critical injury or potentially death. Automatic death. It ended up being a critical injury. But then later in the game, when I took out his other champion and his leader, I also rolled 6s for their injury totals. But because I'm the arbitrator, I rolled them again because I didn't want to do 3 critical injuries to all of his characters in one skirmish game because I felt that would be an unfun situation and did not want that to happen.
There's an extra feel bad when the arbitrator or game master or whatever is like, no, personally, I'm murdering 3 of your dudes. This is personal. Please take offense to this.
Yeah, so it was a good game. It was pretty close, but the Golden Archies did win, and I had the Ambot, who Big Mac is his name, or its name, I suppose. And it's a powerhouse, but it has a problem where it can get pinned very easily.
Yep.
However, I did get enough experience this game to purchase it Nerves of Steel, which is, of course, a skill in Necromunda that allows you to bypass pinning if you can pass a cool check. And in this case, the cool check is a 6-up for an Ambot. And you might think, oh, a 6, that's not very good. Well, gang, it's on 2 dice. So 6-up on 2 dice, and it doesn't get pinned, which is a lot better than just getting pinned. And because it's a combat machine, basically. It's not really great at shooting, as you've talked about before. Mm-hmm. So you want it up and charging. So now I've got it Nerves of Steel. So the rest of my players, fucking beware. But here's the thing, Campbell. I have one of the higher gang ratings in my campaign. Mm-hmm. And not the highest.
Oh.
Not the highest, but one of the higher. And so I had 80 credits to use after this battle. And I was like, what am I going to do? I can buy 4 sets of a Blade of Overlay. A Blade of Overlay, of course, gives you +2 to the first save you roll, and then +1 after that, and then normal saves after that. It's extremely useful.
That's really cool, too. I like that rule a lot. The degrading armor is a neat idea.
So it's also 20 credits in common on the black market. So I was like, I was like, fuck, I could get 4 of them, and then my gang would be pretty fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Or I could buy a Xenoculum.
What is a Xenoculum?
A Xenoculum is an 80 credit item that you roll a D6 for when you buy it to see what it does. 5 of these results are beneficiary, where one of them gives your player extra gnarly claws, like Wolverine claws. So it turns their unarmed attacks into very powerful attacks. Or it gives them the ability to go into ghost mode and phase through terrain, and they can't get hurt. It's a powerful artifact. If you don't roll a 1 when seeing what happens, because when you roll a 1, it explodes and does D3 strength 3 hits to the person that you're giving it to.
Is it something you use in-game or in the post-game sequence?
In the post-game sequence.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this Inoculum because I want to have fun, and maybe I'll get something really cool and see what happens. So I'm like, all right, here we go. And we have one of those dice bots in our Discord for this campaign. So I'm rolling the dice publicly, and I roll 1d6. 1.
Hell yeah.
It explodes.
Hell yeah.
80 credits down the drain. And then I'm like, oh, crap. All right, let's see how many hits. Roll 1d6. 1. I'm like, okay, only 1 hit. That's doable. Then I go and I'm like, all right, does it wound? It's strength 3. My guy's toughness 3, so it's going to wound on 4. Roll 1d6. 1. And then at this point, I'm like, that's 3 ones in a row. Is the dice bot broken? And then I was like, I'm going to check if the dice bot is broken. Roll 1d6. And it was like a 4 or something. So it was not broken. It just happened to be 3 ones in a row. So it was just a waste of 80 credits. It wasn't 80 credits and one of my dudes died.
Okay. So you had the option to choose 80 credits on 4 good items or 80 credits on 1 extremely necromunda item, and you chose wisely.
Listen,
you did the right thing.
Listen, man, I'm trying to have fun with this. I was hoping for ghost mode, and because I gave it to one of my combat shotgunners. So I figured,
oh my god,
I figured ghost mode, he could for turn 1, he could phase through some terrain, and he can't get hurt until the next turn. Until he activates again, because he's still in ghost mode. So he can just phase through terrain, just sort of stand there and not get hurt by anything, and then, come back to reality and and blast things with his combat shotgun. But it didn't work like that. So maybe next time, there's a good chance that if I have 80 credits lying around, I might give this inoculum a second chance.
Ghost steps behind you. Nothing personnel, Juve.
Excellent work. All right, let's move to new stuff. Not a ton of new stuff this week.
They had a New Year's open day where they kind of showed off some stuff that we already knew about, like the Warcry models coming to Slave to Darkness, they're in the fucking rule book. Like, I've seen them already. The Ogre for Warhammer Underpants, which is cool. Yeah,
and then a bunch of pictures of Sisters models, and the Sisters range is fantastic. And the more they show of it, the more I'm like, fuck, dude, I could be a Sisters player.
You could be.
I could live my, oh man, when I was a kid, remember the show Sister Sister?
Yeah.
Man, I had such a crush on Tia and Tamara Mowry, the actors in that show.
Oh, my old boss used to say, Tia Tamara, whenever he's saying see you tomorrow.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's just good fun.
Good, clean fun.
Good, clean fun. So yeah, I could be a Sisters player, but you know how it goes, man.
Yeah, you could be a Sister, Mr., but not yet.
That's stupid. You're stupid. One thing that they did release that's very interesting to me as a Blood Bowl player is the Glorielle Summerbloom star player, and she's
cool.
It's a really cool model, which is with swirly hair and like leaves and stuff. And she's a thrower character for Wood Elves. And here's the cool thing. Not all star players are good, but Glorielle Summerbloom actually fucking rips.
Nice.
Like, she's real good. And it's weird though, because like Wood Elves are in a weird place in Blood Bowl where they are one of like their position players are some of the most expensive in the game. And they're also the most vulnerable team because they have just garbage armor. They have the opportunity to grab a tree man, but he's really expensive, and your like good blocking character is called a war dancer, and they come in at 120,000, which a human blocker costs 50. Or I'm sorry, human lineman costs 50. Yowza. So almost 3 human linemen for 1 war dancer. Now, that being said, the war dancers do fucking work, but so Glorielle Summerbloom is a good star player. It'd be better if she could work on other teams, not just Wood Elves, but she is limited to only Wood Elves. But still, I think if you're a Wood Elf player, you definitely want to pick her up because she's going to give your opponents fits because she's a really, really good passer.
Yeah, and the model's really nice too. I like the paint job they did too. All right, they showed off, there's 2 more role things.
Okay.
They basically mentioned pointy elves coming back to Age of Sigmar, which
a cat has joined me down here.
Good. That's good. But they mentioned like regular ass elves of some sort coming back to Age of Sigmar, which is cool because like one of the Chaos Warriors I've got is holding a severed elf head, and I'm like, huh, who's that?
Like regular elves, like high elves or dark elves. Well, I guess dark elves are, well, Daughters of Cain.
Yeah, that's kind of where they ended up going, but it's all being reinterpreted. But yeah, they said new pointy elves coming, which is neat. But they also showed off a new Commander Shadowsun for
yeah,
Tau.
we did see that.
Yeah, and I think it's a cool model, even if it does continue the trend of characters standing on top of dumb stuff.
Yeah, but they need to get away from that. Well, they don't need. They can do
I
it.
don't think they need to get away from it. I just think. Yeah, I think not every model needs to be doing a pirouette off a piece of rubble. I've thought that since the old Harlequins came out in 4th edition, but I think it's a beautiful sculpt. I think it's a great take on the character.
Very dynamic.
It has a lot of options, which is nice because you don't usually get that with character models. So
Yeah, there's a helmetless and helmeted head.
And there's like one in between where she's got this ridiculous goggles on. It's neat.
The goggles though.
They do nothing.
I don't think they do anything.
They are historically proven not to do very much, if anything at all.
All right, let's move on. Let's make a call.
Sure.
So first thing, I want to thank Ian Davies for sending us a very nice email.
Yeah, that was a lovely email.
So Ian, thank you so much. We like it when people say nice things to us.
Yeah.
Just like fucking everybody else. All right, so this one is from Eric Atkinson via email. And he says, in honor of Campbell going full Black Legion and 1v1ing his gene sire, which Games Workshop game, past or present, has the strongest dad energy?
Oof.
Ooh.
Okay. It would have to be it would probably actually have to be like the old Horus Heresy board game where it was like cardboard chits on a big old map.
Okay, yeah.
There was an Armageddon one too. Like there were a few of those like bookshelf games that were just cardboard chits on a map. Because like my dad designs games for GMT, and if you take a look at their catalog, it is just like cardboard chits and wooden blocks with abstract illustrations on them everywhere. It's like, oh, this is a chit that just says 4th Company Infantry and has like an X on it, and that's it. And that's what you've got for your models. I think it would have to be one of those old cardboard map and shit sort of games.
I was going to say probably the original Warhammer Quest.
That's very much dad's and kid energy. Like that is like dad being the dungeon master and their kids being the adventurers.
Well, remember, you can't be a dad if you don't have a kid.
This is true.
And we're talking about, of course, the literal definition of dad, not the, I don't know, what's the figurative definition of dad. But yeah, that one, or I was going to say War Master. Just because it's out of print, it was
very small.
It's very small. It probably wasn't as good as people remember it, and and you know people just get all sorts of nostalgic and weird about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's any game where you can really also lavish your models with not even heraldry, just like unit markings, and have it be like, oh no, this is the 3rd company of this is the 3rd squad of the 5th Grand Company of the 7th Legion, and that sort of thing. Like anything where you can get those sort of markings going on there, like a Napoleonics game where it's like, no, those are the elite guard. You can tell because they have red cufflinks. Yes, those are 5mm scale models. What of it?
Yeah, I guess that's some that's powerful dad energy right there.
Yeah. I'm speaking from experience here.
Okay, well, Eric, I hope that answers your question. And remember, gang, we definitely need more questions for We Make the Call. So please hit us up at our email, contact@40kbadcast.com, and ask these questions. Okay, we're moving on to our first segment. Man, we're flying.
We are absolutely flying through this one, yeah.
God, we're only, like 30 minutes in? Usually at this point, we're like 40 or 50 minutes in.
It's okay. I'll have an extra long factor fan fiction to make up for it.
Oh, God. All right, so
you'll be here till 9.
This segment was inspired by somebody close to us, Campbell. Our friend Peter, Pete Dolan. He texted us some fun things that he found on, I guess, Facebook.
It was on Instagram.
Okay, Instagram. And so one of the parts of the Sisters release is this really awesome piece of scenery depicting a living saint in marble or something, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about this living saint, Campbell. Mm-hmm. She ain't wearing shoes.
No, she's bare-armed and barefoot.
So naturally, those horny boys, those horn dogs came out of the woodwork to talk about how excited they were about her feet. So we were inspired to do and real quick, we're not yuck and yums over here. People can be into feet. It's not even a problem.
Yeah, it's 2020. Be into whatever you want to, but it's just people being extremely horny on main for Warhammer models is something special.
For specifically a statue's feet. So we love it, and we're going to talk about our favorite and least favorite 40K footwear. But before, I just want to say,
this one's for the horn dogs.
Oh my God. Oh, gang, I've been waiting to unleash this on you guys for days now because I made that with this segment in mind, and it's my favorite thing I've ever done, more than this podcast. That little bit right
if
there.
nothing else, this is the diamond that was mined from the rough that is 63 something episodes of the 40k Badcast.
This one's for the horn dogs.
Okay.
Oh my god. All right, so Anne was driving home from work, and I was on the phone with her, and I was like, Dan made this funny thing, and I played that over the speakers into the phone, and she said, never do that again.
I showed it to my wife too, and she said, "Oh, that's funny."
Nice. That's very nice, dear.
Good job. Here's a pat on the head. Okay, so Horn Dogs, this one's for you. We're talking about our favorite 40K footwear, and then we're going to talk about our least favorite 40K footwear. I'm going to go first.
Okay.
One of my favorites, Gravis boots. Yes, extreme
Power
platform
boots. Yeah.
platform shoes from the 70s, energy going on these. But I have a specific memory attached to Gravis boots.
Okay.
Well, one, they're terrible to paint.
Yes.
They have so many fucking
everywhere.
edges. It's god awful. But it reminds me of one of my high school yearbooks, where in it there was a page on fashion, and man, I am very sorely tempted to go to my dad's house to try to dig this out of somewhere, because it's great. It's really great. But it points out that one of my classmates is wearing something called chunk heel clogs. Which is just one of the worst things you could ever say.
Sloth love chunk heel.
But these things, the Gravis boots, they look like platform shoes from the 1970s with an inbuilt heel and an elevated instep, and they have all sorts of edges on them. I think they look fantastic.
Okay.
Papa Daddy, Iron Daddy Pharos, he I think is the most fashionable wearer of the Gravis boot out there. So that's my first one, the Gravis boots. Love them.
Okay. See, I'm thinking a little smaller here. I'm actually going to honor our inspiration here, Peter, by going with the Catachan combat boot.
Oh, yes. Very
first of
nice.
all-
The jungle boot.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing a pair of Timbs right now, and these are basically the closest thing to them. But they're durable, they're utilitarian, and they got a metal shin guard, so I can play soccer with the boys.
You gotta have that metal shin guard.
Here's the problem. If you're playing soccer on Catachan, your ball is more likely than not some form of creature that will explode when kicked and poison everyone to death immediately.
Yes. So
You got to have that shin guard.
yeah. Naturally. No, the Catachans, they definitely have some good utilitarian, use-oriented footwear. And
They go
appreciate
really
that.
well with their cargo pants.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on to something a little more stylish and potentially a little less utilitarian than Catachan boots, but I'm going with Harlequin thigh highs.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
Those are form-fitting.
Yeah, I might be getting a little horny on Maine over here, because thigh high boots, yes sir, love them, absolutely great. But the Harlequins, man, they make them look good too, and some of them got some of that little like garter action holding them up. Bud. Let's.
This one's for the horn dog.
In this case, that might be me. Harlequins, great models, leaping off shit, moving around a whole lot. They got to have mobility. They got to have range of motion. And what says ease of mobility?
Like a giant leather boot. All right, so here's the thing.
Giant leather sleeve for your leg.
All right, so here's the thing. Every time a Harlequin is jumping around, they're usually like pictured with like grace and silence and elegance, and I'm just picturing the sound of like endlessly creaking leather that desperately needs to be oiled every time they jump anywhere. Like I've got this bomber jacket that was my dad's in the 80s, and that thing is noisy as a motherfucker, and I'm picturing that now every time a Harlequin is jumping around, especially if they got like one of those Harlequin dusters on along with these giant boots.
Oh yeah.
Very into it.
All right, what you got?
So mine actually belong to yours and mine's favorite horn dog, Ragnar Blackmane.
Ooh.
I'm very into his teeth shoes. Because like they're sculpted in the early 90s, they're a little ambiguous. So I'm not sure if they're teeth pointing down or if they're chainsaws.
Excuse
or
me,
if they're
these are
wolf teeth.
fang shoes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
These
teeth
are not
shoes.
teeth shoes.
You're right. Teeth shoes are a Joseph Campbell shoe, I think, with all the teeth for the sole. But yeah, no, these are the most non-slip shoes available. They seem like they might be a decent weapon, and if they are what I originally thought are chainsaws, then they're incredibly useful for the 41st millennium.
So
I'm
here's something
utilitarian
about
here.
that. They might be grippy on a soft surface, but you take those fuckers onto a hard surface, you're going to be slipping around all day, dude.
Oh no, they're probably like the teeth of a kraken or some shit. He's from an ice world. He probably walks around nice.
Listen, my dude. I've worn a lot of cleats in my day. All right. And when you come off the football field and into the locker room without taking your cleats off, and you're like walking around on linoleum floors, you are an immediate safety hazard.
Well, here's the thing. Your cleats might have like little points at the bottom of them. They aren't like diamond sharp teeth of a giant space squid or something like that. That's going to be a lot sharper and dig into a lot more surfaces.
Yes,
that
I'm
being said,
Ragnar Blackmane. Let me put my diamonds on the bottom of my feet.
Hey, that's somebody's fetish. Respect him.
All right, I'm respecting.
All right, what's your third shoe?
So this one's not 40K.
Oh, okay.
Because I actually really like them. I think, and it's funnier when you put it in context too. But it's the Blood Bowl Ogre Team shoes.
Okay.
Not the Snotlings or whatever they're called now. The Noblar, not the Noblar, because they don't wear shoes. But the ogres themselves, they have these like heavy metal pointed elf shoes, like with a little bit of a recurve action going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would think that like an ogre, especially a Blood Bowl playing ogre, would have some seriously heavy footwear. But here's the thing. Ogre teams can kick their Noblars around the field. And these shoes are not designed to keep those Noblars alive after kicking them. They are bladed, they are sharp, there is a recurve going on, and they are heavy metal. And bud, it's gotta hurt the Noblar when they boot them.
That's the point, isn't it?
I guess so. So yeah, I like
the
those
points
shoes.
on the shoe, technically, but
hey, there you go. More
there
jokes. I like those shoes. They are really quite well done. But in all honesty, like Blood Bowl in general, because I was just looking through models for this segment, Blood Bowl in general has really good. Well, they have great models, but they have like they're not like spending all their time modeling the top half of the model and then just like forgetting the legs, which was something early Games Workshop models definitely did.
Until they had teeth shoes, yeah.
But the Blood Bowl footwear just across the board is very good.
All right. I respect that.
You got to have it, man. You got to have it. When you got endorsement deals and stuff, you got to have it.
I'd say it's important.
All right, what do you got? Your last favorite.
All right. I'm sticking very much to early 90s models here, but the old Gazgul Thraka's skull platform shoes.
Yes.
So
yes,
we all know orcs respect size. And this gave him the height to rally the clans, which as a 5'9" dude, I really respect. And also it's like, again, you have
5'9" in combat boots, motherfucker. 5'9", the rallying call of every dude who's 5'7" in the world.
Let me tell you, I really love going to shows and being like, excuse me, I want to see the show. Excuse me.
Pardon me. I'd like to see Sabaton. Hey, Sabaton!
That's a good shoe. That's a really good shoe. That's actually
that's a shoe.
That's much closer to the shoes your ogre boys are wearing.
All right, that's some good shit there, man.
This segment.
Wrong one. There we go.
There it is. This segment brought to you by Sabaton, the shoe, not the band, but also the band. Because this isn't top 3 armored vests in 40K.
Does Sabaton ever get horny on man in any of their songs?
Their songs are very not horny. I mean, you could say some of the songs are very horny for the military-industrial complex, but they aren't. I've never known them to be horny in any of their lyrical content.
Okay, because like what's that band that sucks? Manowar.
Most of them.
Those dudes are extremely horny on main.
What about the oiled chests gave that away?
Ben's terrible. Go ahead. Defend Manowar.
They were for a time the loudest band on earth, but I guess no one was listening to Motorhead at the time.
Ow.
The dude
just jumped out of my lap.
That's
okay.
Oh, did I hear a purr from that, Katie?
No, that was my chair. All right. Let's move on to our least faves. I've got one.
Okay.
Vanguard Space Marine boots. Okay, so
they very much are power crocs.
They are power crocs, and they are a pain in the ass to paint.
Yep.
This is mostly from a purely painting perspective, which is a good alliteration. And I love the Vanguard Marines, but as a Raven Guard player, you know it. But oh boy, do I hate painting those fucking shoes.
That's fair. That's very fair. I'm actually going, this is the least Imperial I've been in quite some time, but I'm going to go with Yvraine's toe legging sock thing. Because it is all the discomfort of a flip-flop with none of the support or protection. It's like every time I see someone walk around barefoot in Boston, I'm like, that is the bravest human being on planet Earth. And also they probably have like ringworm now.
That's only braver in New York City.
That's the thing. There's places I imagine it's much worse in the 41st millennium where there's far worse things than just, sidewalk vomit to step in.
Well, it's probably worse in like rural Alabama where the fact that they have no infrastructure and like hookworm infestations are a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably worse there.
Yeah, no, it's probably worse in a number of places, but I'm not going to go to see how much worse it is in the Mariana Trench. It's not something you really you need to have some foot protection in the 41st millennium.
Anybody's walking around in the Mariana Trench, bud. Marianas Trench.
Oh, that's it.
Come on. Defend your use of the Marianas Trench in this fucking...
I was going to name a volcano, but I couldn't think of one, so I thought of another place inimical to human life, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yvraine, no, she has definitely... There's a lot of questionable decisions with Yvraine's battlefield attire.
Yeah, I very much like the model. I just think that is not something I would wear. Not something I would wear.
If she was at like a gala, I would be like, yeah, Yvraine, go ahead.
Yeah, or a KMDFM concert, yeah.
I was always more of a fan of MDFMK. Okay, I got one for you.
All right.
Tau battle suits.
Those are really big shoes.
They're big shoes with
Power
no
shoes.
ankle support.
Oh, God.
Absolutely no ankle support.
None.
And you know what? You got to have good ankle support. You got to get some of those high tops in there, especially if you're running around the battlefield. And these Tau battle suits, like, look at the Storm Surge, bud. Look at that thing. It's huge. It's got enormous thighs.
It does have
thighs,
dummy thick thighs
for fucking days. And then you go down to these big old clonking shoes, and what do you got in between? Fucking nothing. What are you doing, Storm Surge? If I was a guardsman, if I was writing the regimental standard, I'd be like, do you see Tau battle suits on the battlefield? Shoot them in the ankle. It's their weak point.
Yeah, it's one step short of having a big glowing Zelda boss eyeball on every single ankle.
Or like a glowing rune for Attack of the Colossus or something.
Yeah, it's just a big circle button floating over it.
Stab me here. Stab me here.
Oh, no, don't stab me in my ankles. No.
Shadow of the Colossus would have been a lot shorter game if all of the stabbing runes were on their ankle. Oh my God, that's a fun little bit right there.
That's good.
Guys, we're just boot goofing.
Just having some goofs about boots.
Okay, you got one. You got your second one. Your least fave.
I'm gonna go with Inquisitor Greyfax's combat heels. All right, so like, there's been a lot of this sort of shit before in fantasy stuff. It's pretty common, but like, even the Sisters of Battle have a bit of a lift back there. But this is straight up wearing like stilettos in a combat zone, which
Tactical
I think
stilettos.
I think that is ill-advised.
Stilettos.
See, now here's the thing. If it was like some Eldar character where the stilettos were actually stilettos at the end, like the knife thing, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I get it. But she's wearing like big clunky power armor. Those are not weaponized. Those are just very difficult to run in, which, again, I think she has a move of 6. So nothing but respect for someone who can run in heels. But wearing stilettos in a combat zone just seems ill-advised.
Yeah, I like the Greyfax model from the ankle up.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like the Greyfax model from the ankle up.
How very Rob Liefeld of you.
To our younger listeners, Rob Liefeld or Liefeld, whatever his name is, he was a 90s comic artist who, let's just say he had a distinctive style, but he hated drawing feet.
Yeah,
so he avoided it.
I think one of my favorite videos of all time is it's called Stan Lee Owns, and it's just Stan Lee talking to Rob Liefeld and the
Todd
Spawn
McFarlane.
guy, Todd McFarlane, as they create the most fucking ridiculous character who you think is being made as a joke, but then was in an actual comic book like a month later.
Yeah, and Stan Lee hated it.
Yeah, and it was just giving them shit the entire time. It's fantastic.
It was great. It's a great, great film. That guy, I missed that guy.
So that's a dear loss. So anyway,
Stan Lee, not Rob Liefeld.
No, he's still around.
Just to be clear here.
Just to be clear here. So what is your third choice of poor footwear here?
I think this one, I think a lot of people are going to agree with me on this one.
Okay.
It's the Inceptor moon boots.
That's not so different from the Gravis moon boot, though.
Well, I mean, Inceptors are in Gravis armor. But they have, I'm talking about the extensions that go under their feet.
Yeah.
The Super Mario movie, not the game, the Super Mario movie boot extensions.
Yeah, they're not the Karibo shoe. They're whatever those are in the movie.
So, yeah, they're terrible. They suck, whatever. But you know what the real problem with Inceptors are? Is those fucking flight stands.
This isn't about flight stands. This is about boots. Stay on target here, Dan.
Okay, I don't like the Inceptor moon boots. I think they look pretty dumb. I know what they're doing with them though, because these guys are supposed to be like dropping in from orbit or whatever, and you want to have a little extra protection on your feetsies, so your legs aren't jammed up into your abdomen when you hit. But
correct.
Still, it's not a great look.
But hey, the Tau could learn a thing or two about protecting your ankles with those things.
You know what? If the Tau, if they saw the Inceptors in a battle zone, they'd probably be like, Now wait just a minute, fellas. I think we could learn something from these guys. I don't know why the Tower Jimmy Stewart in my head, but they are. Clarence, my wife, my kids, the whole town needs me. Don't you remember me? I'm George Bailey. Sorry.
I'm just trying to picture his name with a lot of apostrophes throughout it. Jimmy Stewart.
Okay. All right. Your last one. What do you got?
My last one here is basically the problem with rompers writ large. So the Officio Assassinorum body glove boot, because your entire body is covered in one garment. So with like the problem with
you're gonna
romper,
have to do some legwork on this one, bud, because this is I think I know what you're getting at, but I just want you to make sure you know that I'm listening very closely so I can pick it apart when you're done.
The problem with a romper is that if you need to pee, you need to take the whole thing off, which is kind of harrowing in like a public restroom sort of situation. Now, this is that, but your entire body. So if you get a pebble in your shoe, you need to strip naked or deal with it all day. And assassins are on assignment for like months and years at a time. So how do you do the arithmetic there? Are you going to be like, well, I guess I'll get nude and take my boot off and spray on a new set of synth skin, or I'm just going to deal with this for like 6 months?
Okay, two things.
Okay.
Two things. Explain to me, one, when an Imperial assassin is going to have to be inconvenienced by a public fucking restroom. And two, how the fuck is a pebble going to get in to the boot in the first place?
Okay. First off, assassins got to go undercover at some point, I'm sure. I'm sure with like fucking wackadoo Bio Meltdown boys, they don't care. They're like, no, more pebbles in my boots, more paint, so I could be more crazy. But if you're like, Eversource, that's it. But if you're like, a Vindicare assassin, like, you're going to have to deal with that shit. So Vindicare
assassins are specifically not going to have to deal with public restrooms because they're out. They found their perfect sniper spot that is, trust me, not in the back of a Macy's. All right. And they're waiting there for their target to come by so they can shoot them in the face.
Maybe their perfect sniping spot is near a public restroom.
But they're not going to go up and be like, oh, man, I think this guy's going to walk by sometime soon. I got to go take a piss real quick.
Okay, well, all right. So there's the
and here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What about a Calidus assassin? They got the polymorphine.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to their junk and their their piss window situation in their pants? Like,
okay. Ian Watson wrote about this.
Oh,
because when Melindy turns into a gene stealer, she's found out by her poop not being consistent with gene stealer poop, or at least she's worried about that. I can't quite recall. His books are a fucking fever dream.
Okay, we talked about this in a very early episode of the Badcast. I think episode 2.
Something like that. Episode number 2. I get it. It's a poop joke. Good. Nice. Not bad, Dan. Sure. Take that one to the fucking bank. Okay.
Oh, shit.
So I'm not actually sure that's... You can't do it twice, Dan. I'm not actually sure that's something that's been explored that well, because weirdly, among all the bizarre horniness that happens in Ian Watson's books, I don't think there's anything about their feet in there.
He's the original horn dog.
He is the original horn dog. The Thunder Warrior of horn dogs, if you will. Okay,
well, you know what? The full bodysuit boot part of it, yeah, that's a good point. There aren't any butt flaps whatsoever involved
none.
In those. So they probably just pee themselves
all the time, and it's constant. That's how you know an assassin's nearby.
It smells like piss.
It just smells like piss. Which, I mean, for what it's worth, I imagine a lot of things do in the 41st millennium anyway.
Well,
that's something I've read.
It's not a great place to be. Hey, good segue. Our next segment.
So what would so let's see. I figure neither of us are going to figure we'll be the 41st millennium piss boy, but what might our personal careers be in the 41st millennium? What would you be doing for your 9 to 5, or more likely your 9 to 8 in the 41st millennium?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is in this segment, we're talking about the jobs we want, the jobs we could realistically do, and then the jobs our corpses would do after we die. And I had originally said, like, well, the jobs we don't want to do. But then Campbell wisely explained to me that would be everything.
Yeah, there's nothing you really want to be doing in this setting. It's a horrible place to be.
Yeah, so, and of course, now at the top of this list is assassin laundromat operator. Okay. Job we want. Campbell, go ahead. What job do you want in the 41st millennium?
Okay, so have you ever seen, like, I want to be one of those graphic designers who's responsible for all the army badges, heraldry, and so on in the Imperium? Because, those, like, really stupid design guidelines that are, like, really full of themselves? Like, there's one for the Pepsi rebrand a decade ago where it goes over, like, this Pepsi design is a smile, and this is the gravitational field of Pepsi. I want to do that. I want to be coming up with that bullshit for, like, skulls.
So you want to be like the 99 designs of the 41st millennium.
Yeah, I basically want to be the big graphic designer. I want to be the graphic designer writ large. I want to be that master of graphic design.
It's like the Portlandia sketch. Instead of put a bird on it, you're just gonna put a skull on it.
Yeah, the officio photoshopium. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing.
All right, I like it.
Yeah,
you'd be good at that too.
Yeah, that's more or less what I do already. So
put a skull on it.
Put a skull on it. Yeah, I can't put quite as many skulls in my professional work, but this will let me live out that.
I've seen some of your professional work, and I was surprised at how it has actually been.
It turns out when you work in a field where there's not really much of a precedent for visuals, and it's mostly just like stock photos and clip art, you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. All right, so I got one. I got a job that I actually want to do.
Okay.
I want to be an Imperial ship captain.
That'd be neat.
Yes. So in my notes, I have some notes here. I say, hell yes. Mm-hmm. Staterooms, plenty of aged Amasek, if the Caiaphas Cain novels are anything to go on.
Yep.
Some super sweet augmentations. And y'all, there are a lot of ship captain augmentations. That has got to be like a Black Library touchstone, where the editors are like, all right, gang, you can do whatever story you want. Here's some guidelines, but also whatever ship captain your main character like has to deal with, they've got to have some sick fucking augmentations going on. They either have to have like microsurgical fucking sensors and electrodes in their hands so they're real good at flying, or they have to have their entire lower body is one big repulsor, or they have to have a golden death mask that cries oil.
What book is that from?
I don't know. One of them.
That's incredible.
There is definitely a ship captain. I think maybe in one of the Caiaphas Cain books that does have a golden death mask over their face. I can't remember if they cry oil or not, but if I had it, mine would. So yeah, some sweet augmentations, and then of course the most important part.
You and I both know it'd cry Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Just right back into your mouth, and you're like, yes.
I need to be honest with you.
Okay.
I've never had an actual Baja Blast Mountain Dew. I've had a Baja Blast margarita.
Okay. You've had the elevated form then.
But I haven't had the regular Baja Blast before.
Oh, you got to get blasted, Dan.
I'll go remedy this.
Go get blasted, Dan.
I promise. Maybe I'll do a video about it and put it as a fuckboy tier.
Jesus.
On our Patreon. Anyways.
Hey, YouTube. It's your boy Dan. I'm going to Taco Bell to get myself a Baja Blast. That was okay. Shit.
It's fine.
I got like 5 more minutes of this video before I can monetize it. Fuck.
All right. And the most important part of this is, of course, absolute control over potentially thousands of people if your ship is big enough, because you're the fucking ship captain. You are the master of the ship. I think that would be a pretty good gig in the 41st millennium. Of course, your ship might get press ganged into fighting, or you might be just a naval ship captain, and that's what you do. And I hear that's pretty dangerous, but hey, you still get to be a ship captain.
I mean, most ship captains in the fiction tend to be like, they tend to die because everyone does, but they tend to be like 150 years old. So that's a pretty good record, I'd say.
I'm up for it. All right, let's talk about the jobs we would realistically do. Campbell, why don't you go first?
So I feel like I'd probably be one of those like fucking scriptorum dudes who's hunched over just doing illuminated manuscripts on like personnel reports that take months to do and then are immediately thrown out because they're out of date by the time you finish them.
Yep.
Like it would be definitely something artistic that involves creating something beautiful that is completely Sisyphean and would get never seen by anybody and not worth a goddamn thing.
All right, what kind of augmentations are we talking here? How human do you look?
Okay, so I would be like spine bent at about a 140-degree angle downwards.
Ouch.
Maybe with like telescoping robot eye lenses that just kind of scroll over the page, and then
when you see a hot servitor walk by, they go in and out, and you're like, zzz.
Well, here's the thing. Before my I was gonna say before my spine did that, every time I looked over at a particularly supple stack of papers, they'd zoom in and out and go like, "Awooga." This is also now how I picture Domore from the Gaunt's Ghost books. So, all right, I'd be doing that, and then my hands, I'd probably, I'm trying to figure if I'd either have each fingertip just be basically a pen quill.
Ooh.
And just like with like an inkwell in my palm and just be like,
is the ink your blood? Has your blood been switched with ink?
That or Mountain Dew Baja Blast, yeah. That's in my other hand, which goes straight into my mouth. But
you
yeah,
got Baja Blast on the brain, my dude.
I do. I got that Baja Blast brain, which is actually a disease. I'm sorry.
It's fatal.
Anyone suffering from Baja Blast brain out there in the audience, please reach out to us. We'll hook you up with somebody who can help you out.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's probably what I'd be doing. I'd just be doing this for fucking ever.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'd probably get killed by a probably a piece of mail that got delivered via ballistic moon rocket.
Oh no, you would totally go insane because like one of the numbers you accidentally wrote down, like you're writing, putting up the things, and you wrote 69, and then like Slanesh would just basically possess you at that point.
It's just the all work and no play, make Jack a dull boy thing. So it's just gloriously illuminated 69, 69, 69, then NICE underneath it.
Yeah. Little do people don't know this about the 40k universe, but the number 69 has been completely scrubbed from all Imperial records. It goes directly from 68 to 70. There is no 69 anymore because people kept seeing it and then falling to chaos immediately, just like that. That's a fun joke. I like that. That's good. 69 doesn't exist. Oh, wow. It's one of the unholy numbers that the Ministorum has tried to suppress. Okay, I think a job I would realistically do, I think I would be a Vox set operator for the Astra Militarum.
I figured that'd be pretty likely for you, yeah.
Yeah, and this would be a very shitty job because I would be in the Astra Militarum, which, as we all know, is not a good place to be.
No.
And not only that, I'd have to carry around a heavy-ass Vox set along with my las gun and whatever else. And really, at this point, all I could do is hope for that I'm in a regiment that actually has weapons and armor. And it isn't like, all right, here's your sharpened stick. Go for it, y'all.
Ooh, if you're in a regiment like that, I wonder if you get like a real hand-me-down Voxcaster. It's like a hand crank gramophone sort of thing.
You'd know it. It's ancient in design.
I would also picture you being like a regimental musician, but because it's the 41st millennium, it would have to be like a giant grimdark sousaphone instead of just like a trumpet.
Oh, not the Regimental Funk Band? Or the Regimental Ska Band? Can you imagine?
You're just
the ska commissar telling the guardsmen to pick it up.
pick it up.
He's got a little checkerboard band on his peaked cap.
All the combat boots have flames painted on them. Yeah. Except instead of a big regimental, like the big regimental commissar cap, it's a regimental pork pie.
The Regimental Ska Band.
The funny thing about the Regimental Ska Band is it's just a third of the size of the entire regiment.
It's a brigade all on its own. Oh, shit.
This town is coming like a Gaunt's ghost town.
Man, we got a Butthole Surfers reference and a Specials reference in the same show.
It's a very Specials episode.
Niche content for real. All right, man. Here's the question that everybody really cares about.
Yeah.
What job would our corpses do after we die?
Okay. So I've got two for this. The short one is I become a servo skull and my brain pan would basically become a receptacle for paint. So when people are painting the outsides of buildings, I would just be a floating paint can going up level by level for them.
Okay.
But that's about all that really would do. Now, if I became a servitor, I figure my job would be copying the heraldry from Space Marines' old armor over to their new Mark X Primaris armor once they become Primaris Marines, thus dooming me to an actual eternity of copy pasting.
Yeah, but you love doing heraldry.
Yeah, but I don't love copy pasting. Just a whole grimdark future of Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V until I just fall apart. Oh no, Control Shift V. Fuck.
Control Z, Control C.
As the heraldry just shifts upwards over the chest Aquila, like it's an absolute nightmare. So yeah,
I mean that's most of us.
Living macros until we were replaced by automation.
No,
yes,
that's most of us right now. That's the world. That's the world we live in.
Thanks for reminding me again, Dan. Let's talk about fun space jobs.
I think my body would be, I have it in my notes, they would repurpose my large body for a cargo servitor.
It's really good you never skipped leg day.
Many of you have met me in real life, and I'm not a small human. So I think I'd make a very good cargo servitor, or perhaps like a farm servitor who I'd go around and like cut stalks of space wheat. You know, I'm great with kids.
As servitors are ought to be.
Yeah. Well, I think I'd be great at that. Yeah. Just mindless busy work, mindless menial tasks for the rest of my life.
Office Space is a documentary. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, this got dark.
Grimdark, you could even say.
I do like the idea of the Regimental Ska Band, though.
The Regimental Ska Band is a brief beacon of light in the grim darkness of the far future.
If any of you guys are like horn players that listen to this show, like let's get some fucking Cadian cosplay going and start a ska band, the Regimental Ska Band, and like let's fucking do this shit.
This one's for the horn players.
This one's for the
players. All right, gang. Let's move on to our Marquis de Sade section of the show segment. Fact or fan fiction. Campbell, I hope you've got something good for us. I hope this one could be considered for the Horn Dogs too.
Oh no, I didn't do horny because when I do horny fan fiction, you get deeply uncomfortable.
It depends on how horny the fan fiction gets. When it's graphic retelling of sexual intercourse between two Imperial assassins, that's when the old uncomfortable threshold gets crossed, and I'm like, maybe not this time, fella.
Okay. They final came to Rudolph's office, and Schubaltz left Anders by herself. She look around. There was 100-foot portrait of the God Emperor carrying and broken body of Sanguinis standing on top of the corpse of Horus.
Of course, Sanguinis.
So, Sergeant.
That's my favorite kind of pasta. Sanguini. Sanguini Alfredo.
Yeah, no, it's sanguini tubatini. So, Sergeant, how are you? Said Rudolph. I am fine, sir, she said and saluted. You don't need to do that. Take your helmet. You're being court-martialed. Anders removed her helmet, letting her long red hair down as she let what Rudolph just said. What? As she looked at him with her green eyes. I do not understand. Why am I being court-martialed? Said Anders. Yes, the administratum has found out that your mother was a chaos cultist and that you practices with her until you renounce, said Rudolph. I was 4. I did not know any better, said Anders. That's 4 years and 9 mounts too long. We would have killed you, but since you're so young and already have such a high tack recorded, how old are you anyway? 14, sir. Really? You're younger than my daughter and you already have a better track record. Anyway, you'll have at least one chance to redeem yourself. Inquisitor? Courier. Look behind her. There stood an inquisitor in brass armor and wearing a brown cloak. He must have been 7 feet tall at least. He had jet black hair as black as his eyes, and on his right cheek was a 7 tattoo. Coria was a bit stared by him. This is Inquisitor Lord Raven. He would be your new master, said Rudolph. Irvine, said Lord Raven. Take Anders back to APC. Yes, my lord, said Irvine. Irvine was about 6 feet tall. Like Coria, he was tan but not as golden as she was. His left eye was a bionic 3-lens eye. Around it was a blue tattoo of a sun. So you're from Cadia, said Irvine, making small. That is correct. What planet are you from? She said as they entered the powerlifter. Tanith. My family moved to Z when I was 3, he said. Minus my older sister, my own family is dead. Oh. That suck, Katie. Pronouns Katie for the stupid. Yeah, it was by Karn, Katie. That's not my name, she said. It is now, he said. Come on, Katie. I know a shortcut. That shortcut was through the Underhive. The lower levels were most of the gangs, cults, and crime lords. These areas were destiny populated. Katie was trying to do her best to keep up with Irvine. She bumped into a gang member. He wore a gray trench coat and a white headbang with tattoos on his fist and face. Hey, watch it, bitch, said Gangster, pushing Katie down. Fething idiot, I think you owe her an apology, said Irvine. What the hell is Feth? Are you that stupid you make up some sort of crap like that? Said the Gangster. Hey, shut the Feth up. That's it, I'm killing you. At the same time as the Gangster pulled his gun, Irvine drew out his bayonet, a Tanith straight silver. Irvine grabbed the gun's trigger and the Gangster grabbed the dragger before it went to his neck. So, said the Gangster, make my day, ass. Okay, mother feather, I let got and you to the same, said Irvine as they put away their weapons. That is what feth mean, said Katie. You're a sick bastard, said Gangster. I really hope I never see, capital Y, you, pointing to Irvine as walk away. A while later at the transport area, Raven was there waiting near a Land Raider Crusader. Irvine, Anders, where the hell had Up been? He said. Sorry, we got stuck, sir, said Katie. Get on the Land Raider, said Raven. Irvine and Coria enter the Crusader. There were about 12 others and 2 servo-space skulls used to add Raven's psychic powers. All Inquisitor lords are psychers. Most of the soldiers had standard Inquisitor Stormtrooper armor of red and black. However, the one in the back was different. He was playing with a jagged knife and had brass knuckles on. It was the same Gangster as before. Aye, crap, it's you, he said. Hey, it's you from before. My name is Coria Anders. What is yours? Said Katie. What in Feth's name are you doing here? Said Irvine. You're a sick bastard, said Irvine. I'm here, wrong here, 'cause Raven hires me to make sure your ass don't got no buckshot in him, said Stalker. Girls talk is over, said Raven. Anders, gear up.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How did he get there? How did the ganger get there? He was outside of the Land Raider Crusader, like assaulting them, and then they get there, and then he's already in it?
Teleports behind you?
Nothing personnel, KD Lang.
He's got to be just that good a stormtrooper in this very real, very legitimate, very published piece of fiction. Did you just give it away? I think somebody just gave it away. I'm sorry, I gave away that this is a published piece of fiction. Damn it. I couldn't possibly be misleading you.
Even though you said that, Campbell, I'm going to go with this is fan fiction.
Fuck! How'd you get it?
Oh, I'm just so good at this. I've done it a whole lot, you know.
This is true. It's got to be. It's practice. I mean, when you hear such prose as, quote, make my day, ass, you gotta second guess yourself and be like, did this really get by the editors? Is this too good for Black Library?
Yeah.
But yes.
Well, the answer is no. In this case, it is not.
So this is
most emphatically no.
This is chapter 2 of Ball by Lord Dante. I believe I read chapter 1 in maybe
Lord Dante.
Yeah, in the first or second episode, I think I read the first chapter, and I thought it was about time we revisited this wonderful story that apparently is a crossover with Zoids, an anime about giant robot animals, but they never show up.
Dude, Lord Dante is now a Badcast all-star.
He is a repeat offender on the Badcast, which is not an honor many authors have outside of like Rob.
Lord Dante, bringing the pain. Okay, gang. Well, we're gonna start getting out of here. Thanks for that, Campbell. That was terrible, and now my stomach hurts. So we're gonna do some plugs before we go, and I want to plug some social media. We're on Twitter. I am at DB Sleazy. He is at Brother SRM. Twitter is terrible, and it is a direct mirror to the real world because the real world is also terrible.
Yeah, it's actually pretty astounding how, God, that you just wrote a Black Mirror episode right there.
Oh my God!
What if Twitter was bad? Black Mirror.
You're also on Tumblr, where people can see pictures of your models, but not pictures of you.
There's one of me when I won an award at a tournament like 6 years ago, if you really feel like digging. But yeah, I don't really post too many selfers. But yeah, that's cam2d.tumblr.com for pictures of my models, or my Twitter for pictures of my models also, but not quite as many because I can only put 4 in a post as opposed to 10. Yeah.
Interesting. You can also buy shirts that we sell.
You can.
I don't know why you'd want to.
You want to.
But the option exists.
Shop.spreadshirt.com/40k Badcast for all of our merchandise that Dan will insist that he designed, but I know he didn't.
I'm a very good designer. My new strategy with the shirt plug is to vamp for time until you say the URL, because I can't get it right ever.
See, I've done this so many times I don't even have this in my incredibly disorganized notes. So,
all right. So there's another way to waste money on the Badcast, and that's at our Patreon, patreon.com/40k Badcast. And we have an announcement regarding that. We are recording it next week, but that means this week we've got to do some research. And Campbell, would you like to tell the listeners what kind of research we're going to be doing?
We have decided that very much in keeping with a lot of our media consumption habits, that we should gaze directly into the uncanny valley and go see the theatrical film Cats, based on the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Cats. So if you want to fucking stare into the black hole of the warp with us, go see that film, because it's not in movie theaters for very much longer. The theater we're seeing it at tonight has like 12 seats total, which is very indicative of how well that film is doing. So go see that god-awful. I don't know if it's god-awful. I'll find out in about 2.5 hours when I get to the theater. So go see that film and subject yourself to it, and then listen to us. There's a lot of people saying to go extremely high. I would not do that because it is not a safe environment to be in. I think I would freak the fuck out and probably hide in the bathroom for 3 hours until Anne found me and dragged me out of the movie theater. So
yeah, last time you got high, there were some cat-related problems.
Yeah, I laughed at a Garfield comic until I ugly sobbed, and I didn't throw up that time, but I did the time before that. So yeah, see it or don't. Listen to us talk about it or don't. But you'll be able to if you give us $5 a month. We have a backlog of like 12 or 13 episodes at this point, covering all sorts of things from Insane Clown Posse to Baldur's Gate to Age of Sigmar to what have you. So that's patreon.com/40k Badcast if you would like to support us in that way.
And if any of you listeners out there are musical fans, like, fans of musicals, not fans
who are musical.
Yeah. Anyways, if you're a fan of musicals, like, why don't you write in and tell us why?
Because we're not, and this is jumping into the deep end as far as I've gathered.
Yeah, I'm very confused as to why this exists. So,
And how this exists.
Well, I know how it exists.
Cocaine.
But the why is where I'm hung up. So if anybody wants to clue us in at our email, which conveniently is my next plug, contact at 40kbadcast.com. And you can talk to us about cats. You can talk to us about real cats. You can talk to us about real dogs. You can talk to us about models and games and stuff. I'm actually in the middle of writing a response to a listener who asked me about Blood Bowl. And I'm, I think, giving out good advice, hopefully. Something just fell upstairs. That's cool. So write to us at our email, and we'll get back to you, and we'll have a conversation. All right, man. It's time for you to give us a quote and for us to leave the show.
Okay. What I cannot crush with words, I will crush with the plump, naked toes of the Imperial Guard.
This one's for the horn dogs.
All right, we're the 40k Badcast, the 40k Footcast. We're bad at Footy K, and you can toe. See you in the next cartoon, gang. Adios.